What is up, you guys? It is a new week, and this is a late night episode. By the time I am filming this, it is 8:49 p.m. I have good reason why this is a late night episode, because I feel like today it's just been a lot of sports going on today. A lot of games, a lot of matches. The Colorado-Nebraska game came on at 9 a.m. Then immediately after them, Coco Gauff wins the U.S. Open. After that, it was Texas, Alabama. Then after that, I was trying to watch a little bit of Stanford, USC. A lot. And then Thursday night, we had our first NFL game of the season with the Detroit Lions beating the Kansas City Chiefs. So I have good reason for being up late tonight and doing this episode. So we're just going to jump right into it. So get ready. First on the docket for this episode, we're talking Colorado football. Every time I say that, I kind of have to shock myself to know that that is a reality. They won against Nebraska 36-14. Everything leading up to this game was a lot of chatter. You know, Colorado, it's rivalry week for them. They said it's personal. You know, some other things come up to end up getting kind of disclosed to us towards the end, where Shedeur Sanders says it was personal. You know, like some things were said about my dad that I didn't like and about our program that I didn't like. So, you know, I had to go out there and do what we do. He threw for 31 for 42. Pretty efficient game. 393 yards, 2 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. I think there was a comparison between him and Caleb Williams that his efficiency is a little bit better. He's a little bit more accurate on his throws, but that I think Shedeur's thrown over 900 yards. I think Caleb has thrown around 700 something. I think it said. I could be wrong on ballparking what I saw. And then it said I think Shedeur had 7 touchdowns to Caleb's 9. This is before Caleb is playing like currently right now, and I can tell you he's already thrown like 2-3 touchdowns already. So the numbers will change. Things that I've seen from Shedeur Sanders this game that I didn't see last game: he ran the ball more. His pocket was collapsing a lot. That is something that Colorado is going to have to hit the recruiting trail on ASAP. You need some O-linemen. I'm talking about some O-linemen out there that riding tractors or something and like, I don't know, pushing cars for fun. Like, you gonna have to go get you some real down O-linemen. And y'all know what I'm saying. You gonna have to go get you some men to be in those trenches for your quarterback, because the pocket collapsed a lot in this game. Shedeur was running a little bit more for his life than he even thought about probably doing in the last game against TCU. He had to scramble a little bit more. But the good thing I appreciate about him is even when he scrambles, he is still having his eyes down the field. Now, in this game, he got sacked a few more times than I'm pretty sure anyone would have wanted if you are on the Colorado team. But even when he runs, he's not one of those guys that's trying to truck you over. And maybe in a good situation he is, going to a touchdown, maybe so. But he's very much I'm trying to slide, I'm going to get out of bounds. He understands the importance of making sure that he's healthy enough to make sure he's staying in the game as their quarterback. So again, a good, impressive, I think, display of him. I will say this: he continues to show me why he is a pro quarterback. His ability to read coverage, he goes through his progressions really well, to be honest with you. He throws dots. He's having great deep balls. Every ball is pretty much on the money for most of the time. Yeah, there's some drops here and there, but usually he's right on the money, which is always impressive to see. Dylan Edwards, I'm going to keep saying, is due for a big game. It's going to come. He's a speedster for him. We're not going to talk much Travis Hunter in this game. Even though I'm not saying all his stats, he still affects the game with his presence, and he's still very much out there, right? There will be games where Travis Hunter might not be the biggest name in the stat sheet, but that doesn't mean that his presence still does not affect games. I promise you that. So we will definitely be seeing more of that. I think the Colorado receivers, more of them stepped up in this game. Defensively, their secondary is going to have to get better once they really get into Pac-12 play. It's going to get a little bit faster. And I think that is going to be interesting to see, and we're going to go through their schedule, because there's a certain block of their schedule where I'm like, this will prove to me kind of who they are. I don't think these 2 games are proving to me who they are, but it is giving me a little open window to what they could be. I will say this: Nebraska's quarterback, Jeff Sims, went 9 for 15, 106 yards, 1 interception. He really wanted to run most of the time. He just didn't have a great performance. Nebraska just struggled. They didn't really have anything going for them other than defensively, really making sure that they were able to get to the quarterback for Colorado. But other than that, there was no dominance of them. Offensively, there was no spark. Colorado was pretty much in the driver's seat for this entire game. Now, when I am talking about the block for Colorado that will tell me everything I need to know, their next game is versus Colorado State at home. The 4-game block that will tell us a lot, which is a lot of Pac-12 play: Oregon, USC, Arizona State, Stanford. And that is literally the next 4 games for them after Colorado State next week. That is going to show us a lot about them. It's going to show us how their defense is going to step up. Because, again, USC is a big game that has circled for a lot of people. But even that Oregon game will show us a little bit more about them before we get to USC's game. I do think the USC game will be big. USC is rolling right now. They got some guys on that squad that a lot of people aren't talking about, but offensively they are clicking. Obviously, they have the Heisman Trophy winner Caleb Williams there. But I think that game for Colorado and USC will be a NFL scouting symposium, because this will show people how you compare the two. I think for a lot of people, Caleb Williams is the undeniable number 1 pick in the draft, despite the comments that he could stay a year because he doesn't want to go to a bad organization. But this can make you see where Shedeur lines up, where it's like, oh, is Shedeur the number 2 quarterback in the draft? Is he number 3 quarterback in the draft? Is he the number 1? Those are questions that will be answered in that game, right? So I'm excited for that, but I think that 4-game stretch will show us a lot about Colorado. And then it doesn't get easier for them even after that. They got UCLA, Oregon State, Arizona, Washington State, Utah. So, it's going to get deeper for them, and I think that will show us more about them. But I do think this is giving us a glimpse. But I think we'll be able to have a really good observation against different criteria as the Pac-12, continues to get deep in it. So I'm happy for Colorado. I'm a big fan of Deion Sanders. I'm rooting for him. Like he said in the post game, which I love, he said, I didn't stumble or stutter when I told you that we were coming. And I love that because he didn't. He didn't stumble or stutter when he told us that, and they are coming. He has all the confidence in the squad. Colorado State gives them another rep to make sure that they're staying sharp, staying fresh, because once this Pac-12, part of their season starts to get going, it's going to look different. Teams will look different. It might start playing a little bit faster. So it's going to be a good one for Colorado. I'm wishing them all the best because, they're 2-0. Oregon's 2-0. UCLA's 2-0. USC, Utah, Washington State. So it's going to get good for them. But I am happy that Colorado's 2-0, and I hope they keep on pushing and making people believe. Right. Next on this segment, I will dedicate this one to my mom because she's a big tennis fan. She loves tennis. She's never played a lick of it in her life, but she could tell you everything. She could tell you the names, the coaches, forehand, backhand, serves. She could give you analytics, stats of people's games. She loves it. Stays up all night watching it. TV's always stuck on the tennis channel. This is also a test to see if she watches my YouTube because she says that she does. We're going to find out if she does, because what better way can you find out if someone actually watches your channel by giving them a shout out? Because then, think about it. Next week, when I talk to her, she should say on the phone to me, hey, you shouted me out. We're going to see how long it goes until I have to mention it to her, because that's what she said. She said, I watch your YouTube every week. We're going to see. We're going to see, Judy. We're going to see. Now, we're talking Coco Gauff. She won today. U.S. Open is her first Grand Slam title. She went against Sabalenka, and her opponent will end up being ranked number 1 on Monday. So technically, Coco just won against the number 1 ranked women's tennis player in the world. She lost the first set, and I think all of us wanted to see who is Coco going to choose to be in this final. She's reached finals before, but she has never won it. And I know some people are going to say, how has she never won? Because I think sometimes we think she's older than what she is. She's 19 years old. And she showed, I think, a lot of people, including myself, something in that second set where she said, no, we're going to keep fighting. In women's tennis, 3 set, you go 2 sets to win. But if you split it, you go 3. For men, you got to win 3 sets. So their games could go 4, 5, 6. They could go a little bit longer. But for women, most of the time, the max is like 3 sets. So she ends up splitting it. She wins that second set. And to see her mentality and how poised she was in that third set, I think sometimes we've seen Coco, and she's talked about it, her mindset. Mentally, she'll get herself out of the game, beat herself up while it's going on. But in this, she seemed so steady. She seemed locked in. She seemed okay to weather the storm in it all. And in that third set, she was in complete control. And that is saying a lot because her opponent, like I said, she's getting ranked number 1 on Monday. Her serve is really strong. I mean, it was just incredible to see her lock in. Now, something that my mom told me that I didn't know until I seen the little ticker in the stats about it during the match. Coco ended up getting a new coach. Her dad was her coach. Now, she talked about this, how people felt like she should have fired her dad and all this stuff. She's like, her dad is still coaching her in a sense. Like she said, her dad sent her the scouting report, for this finals matchup that without her dad, she doesn't get here, right? But she was like, yes, her dad was the one who said, you might got to get different coaches. We might need to do a switch, because after she lost in the French Open, like she said, it was a big disappointment to her because they felt like, this isn't our best tennis that I could play. And like she said, she was heartbroken. She ends up getting with Brad Gilbert, kind of changing some coaching around. Since Wimbledon, that's when she made the switch. After Wimbledon, she's went 17-1. She ended up winning in one of the Cincinnati tournaments, and I think she won a tournament prior to that as well. And then I feel like she came into the U.S. Open tournament playing some of her best tennis, just in control of everything. Her defensive ability of being able just to move around the court, she's so fast. She's able to return those serves, all those things. Her serve, her strength in her serve, I think will continually get better, but it's not her biggest factor, I think, in her game. I think her ability just to move around the court is just amazing. She makes it hard on a lot of her opponents, which we saw in this finals. It was amazing to see her run up there to her parents, her dad. Like she said, it was her first time she ever saw her dad cry. And I think that was honestly amazing for her. She's been working to get to this point for so long, and to finally get there, it's like, I'm here. I've been trying to get over this hump. I think in any sport, they always say the first one's the hardest. And then after that, you kind of have a barometer of how to get back to it, and it will change. But it was amazing to see. And when she got up there, obviously her thanking her box and her coaching and then her parents, it was great. But then what I loved is when she said, I don't ask God to give me results. I ask him to give me the strength to give it my all. And I think for a lot of us, including myself, sometimes we ask God for the wins. Please avoid me of the losses. And sometimes the wins are already written for us to have. The prayer or the thing you most need is the strength to be able to get over it. It's almost like, God, don't move the mountain, but give me the strength to climb over it. So congrats to Coco. First major Grand Slam title. She's one of two American teenagers to win the women's singles title. And I'm pretty sure you could guess who the first one was. Serena Williams. Serena was 17 when she won it. Coco's 19. But what I loved was the ending of her post-conference. She also won $3 million being the winner. What I love was that she talked a little spicy at the end. When it comes to tennis, it's a very classy sport. Very, white collar. They kind of like to be buttoned up. They don't talk no trash. But she got up there. She talked a little trash. And I'm a big believer. If you win, you can say what you want. That's just me. And she got up there and she said, I want to say thank you to all the doubters, the ones that ain't believe in me, because I saw what y'all said. Y'all counted me out. Y'all said I wouldn't get here. You thought I was done. I couldn't win at this level. I saw what y'all said after the French Open. I saw what you said. And she said, you thought you were throwing water on the fire, but you were really throwing gasoline, and now I'm burning brighter than ever. And I was like, finally, someone talk spicy in this sport, man. Thank you. Talk spicy. I like it. That's what I was waiting on. Congrats to Coco Gauff on winning her first Grand Slam. I mean, she's in great company. Like I said, one of two American teenagers to win the women's singles U.S. Open. I mean, again, the first one was Serena Williams at 17. So congrats to Coco. It's so well-deserved, well-earned. I mean, she's going to win many, many, many Grand Slams to come. But for her to get over the hump, get this first one, it's going to propel her, man. Greatness is for her already. So, again, congrats to Coco Gauff. I mean, seeing the video of her at 8 years old in the U.S. Open Stadium, Arthur Ashe Stadium, and just dancing, having a good time. And 11 years later to be holding up the trophy is, I mean, there's no coincidence to that. It was always written for her to do that. So, again, just all congrats to Coco Gauff. I hope she is having a blast celebrating with her and her team, because she's going to do a lot of great things for the sport of tennis. I mean, she's the future of it. So congrats again to Coco Gauff. On the docket, we are talking Texas, Alabama. Texas won against Alabama in Tuscaloosa 34-24. I will say this Alabama team is different. Offensively, it is different. I have always said that Alabama, their biggest strength is their quarterbacks. You look at the lineage of quarterbacks they've had: Jalen Hurts, Tua, Mac Jones, Bryce Young, and now Jalen Milroe is now in that lineage, and he's different. And this is not for me to say he is bad, but he did not play great. He went 14 for 27, 255 yards, 2 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. His QB rating was 64.6. If you watch the game, he likes to run the ball. He could tote it. I will say this. He could throw it too. His arm strength is amazing. The deep balls are very easy for him to do. When he did make the right throws in those deep throws, you saw a glimpse of like, okay, he could sling it. And then after he throws a great touchdown, the next series he'll go throw a pick with a Texas defender sitting right there on the route, just throwing it straight to him, and it makes you scratch your head and wonder, like, are you reading the coverages? I think he struggles with his progressions. He's going to have to get better fast. And I say that because when they get into SEC play, it's going to get serious. I mean, for them to lose to Texas is already a shell shock, but now you kind of have to assess what you got. I'm sure it's a question, but we'll go through their schedule because, again, he didn't play great. Their running game's all right. Nothing I think that knocked my socks off. Jermaine Burton for them, their wide receiver, I feel like he's wide receiver number 1. He's league ready. He's really good. He was open to me most of the game. I mean, if Jalen Milroe actually just kept his eyes down the field while he's running, it would have been a better situation. He was always open, I felt like. Their receivers aren't bad. I just think when your quarterback is not really going through his progressions and trying to get you the ball, it's just kind of hard to showcase what you got. Defensively, I think their secondary is not all that great. I think also, too, they have a little bit of a younger secondary. I think Kool-Aid McKinstry was really good. His presence was felt. But I think they picked a little bit on their safeties, on their linebackers, got them in situations where Alabama had to kind of be in man-on-man situations where I don't think they're equipped or that's their strength right now. So they got caught lacking a few times. Just, it wasn't like a horrible game. It's just like when you're so used to Alabama being so dominant, you don't expect them to lose how they did. It just didn't seem concise. They were big on penalties, kind of sloppy. Just wasn't able to like string together a thing of stops. They would get a stop and then you're like, okay. And then it was just like right after they would give it back up. Quinn Ewers, he performed very well. He surprised me. After last season, I think everyone had a question mark. What is he going to do? He comes back this season. He said he worked on some things. He found peace in his life. He found faith. He cut his hair. And he's like, I feel more confident. I'm better for this job. 24 for 38, 349 yards, 3 touchdowns, 0 interceptions. He had a QBR of 88.9. Well, let me tell you, he was throwing dots out there. Dots, dimes. There was some balls he was throwing. I was like, there is no way. Even the balls that some of the guys would miss because they were greatly defended, if they did the replay, the ball was still touching the receiver's hand. Like he was placing it on the money. So he played really well. I think, because of how great Bijan Robinson was, a lot of their other runners kind of got lost in translation. And I can tell you right now, Xavier Worthy is really good. He is a speedster for them. They like to use him a little bit more as receiver, putting him on one-on-one situations, those slants, kind of those flats. But he was really good. He was really good. Sanders for them ended up having 114 yards on 5 receptions. Mitchell had 78 yards on 3 receptions, 2 touchdowns. Worthy had 1 receiving touchdown as well. They were there. I mean, even defensively, they were kind of breaking the O-line for Alabama. I found them being able to rush and go right in there to put a hand on Jalen Milroe. So defensively, they're there. I don't think their corners were great. If Milroe's actually going through his progressions, he really could have picked apart a few of the inefficiencies that they had at secondary. But that front line for Texas, really good. Very fast, able to get to the quarterback. They, because Milroe's so fast, they weren't able to get all the sacks that they could have got. But they broke that line a few times. They put pressure. So it was good to see. They definitely had pressure on them. So Texas overall, it was pretty good if you ask me. Like, it was a well-deserved win. Now, if you're talking Alabama, I will say this about Jalen Milroe. And if you're a Crimson Tide fan, you correct me. The next game for Alabama is South Florida. After that, it gets serious. Ole Miss, Mississippi State, Texas A&M, Arkansas, Tennessee, LSU, Kentucky. They can't breathe until Chattanooga. Then after Chattanooga, it's Auburn. If Jalen Milroe does not prove to everyone why he should remain QB1 by making concise, efficient throws, good decisions, knowing when to run, being aware of coverages, going through progressions, I see them giving him Ole Miss. Ole Miss will be the deciding factor. If he cannot figure it out and string together a good win, we might see a quarterback change in Alabama by Mississippi State. But I'm telling you, if Jalen Milroe doesn't get it by Ole Miss, I believe there might be a change by Mississippi State. There's no way I think they're going to go to Texas A&M if Milroe's still not showing kind of some allure that he could be that guy. I mean, the throwing is there. He has the ball strength for it. He could run. It's there, but it just looked a little choppy against Texas. I expected they use South Florida to gain some confidence. That is not me saying that South Florida is horrible or downing them. I'm just saying that is the best way for you to gain your confidence before you get into SEC play. Best thing for them to do. So hopefully they figure it out for Alabama. If you're a Crimson Tide fan, hopefully you just keep on keeping on. Believe in your guys. But again, congrats to Texas on that win against Alabama. It was a big one. I'm gonna add because the USC Stanford game is still going on, so I'm not gonna add that into this episode because I think they're actually beating them. I will say this though. So right now it is the second quarter. USC's ball 42-3. Let me tell y'all, I'm about to put y'all on. USC has a really amazing, I don't even know, I feel like you could call him a Swiss Army knife. I feel like the guy does it all. Freshman. Zachariah Branch. The kid is special. I'm telling you, y'all are going to have to stop punting to him. He already returned a 75. Yeah, a 75er. He already returned one in this game. He returned one in a previous game. I'm telling you what I know. He's a speedster. The kid can run. He can make you miss. He is shifty. It is just electric what he could do. If you are in the Pac-12, you need to stop punting to him. Just stop it. Don't even try. Don't do it. Let it go. Punt away from him. That is my PSA to everyone who will play USC. Do not punt to Zachariah Branch. It makes zero sense unless you want to pay for it and see him in the end zone. Just saying. Now on to football. I will talk about Lions Chiefs because that was the game we had Thursday. The rest of the week 1 games start tomorrow. Today's Saturday. So I will talk about it because it's fair too. I could give you an assessment of what I saw. Lions won against the Chiefs 21-20 at Arrowhead. The reigning Super Bowl champs. I think they were putting up their banner for this. What I saw from Patrick Mahomes, 21 for 39, 226 yards, 2 touchdowns, 1 interception. That interception actually was a bounce off of Kadarius Toney's hand into Ricky Branch's hand for the Lions, and he got a pick 6. I don't think Patrick Mahomes played bad, but I think showed some limitations receiving wise. And this is not to pick on Kadarius Toney, but he had 3 really bad drops in this game. And I'm not talking about little drops. These are drops that would have gave the Chiefs first down, would have gave the Chiefs big momentum, big yardage. One was like a wide open. He probably could have got a touchdown. He was just dropping them. He was struggling. Obviously, too, Travis Kelce didn't play, and I think it showed. That's a big hole for them when they don't have another playmaker out there who's able to do their thing. It's not an excuse, though. It's really not. We've seen them kind of have to use what they got before, but also, too, if I'm Travis Kelce, I'm using that footage as a way to say, hey, y'all are going to have to pay me soon enough because look at what was happening when I wasn't out there. I mean, they lost by 1, but a win is a win nonetheless, so I'm not taking that away from the Lions. I'm not one of those people, well, they only won by 1. A win is a win. No one cares how you get it. You just got it done. So defensively, Chris Jones was at the game. They still haven't signed his contract or anything. They need to figure that out fast. I will say that. Their intensity wasn't there. They missed on a few things. It just was interesting. It was really interesting. I think they expected the Lions to come in there maybe scared or different, but I've said this before. The Lions showed us a glimpse of who they were last year, and that I think we're going to see the full picture this year. After watching Hard Knocks, I would run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell. After watching this game, I would still run through a brick wall for Dan Campbell. He does something that is very hard to do for a lot of coaches when it comes to grown men in professional sports. Go into an organization, strip it clean, say we're going to build a winning culture, we're going to have winning habits, we're going to have a winning mindset, attitude, we're going to believe, we're going to change everything around. It is hard to get people to do that, adults. For him to go to the Lions and say, come on, like, let's do it. And really, like, what, his third year, it's like, well, this is the real deal. You know, you come in your first game of the season, you beat the Super Bowl champs. I think that's a pretty big confidence boost, if you ask me. Like, you're going to walk around and say, that's where we're meeting the standard, is to someone who just played and won a Super Bowl, and we were able to come to their house, which is very hard to go to Arrowhead, and we won. Jared Goff, 22 for 35, 253 yards, 1 touchdown, 0 interceptions. I think he played pretty well. They struggled a little bit in the first half to find their rhythm, but they found it, and I think he played really efficient. I mean, I think every game for Jared Goff is just, like he said, we already believed we could win this game. There was no doubt, and I saw that confidence in them. He really commanded it. Rushing, they had Montgomery and Gibbs splitting carries, but Montgomery seems to be running back one. He had 21 carries. Gibbs had 7. Gibbs is in my fantasy. I drafted him because the Lions kept talking like he's going to be the guy. We're going to use him. And then you saw this game and they really used Montgomery a lot more. And that's no discredit to him because he had a touchdown. He had momentum. But they also, like, when Gibbs would make a run for big yardage, it's like they would take him out. So, like, that whole splitting thing, I kind of am confused on that. I don't know if they're just trying to, like, ease him into it because he's a rookie or what. But, I mean, I think it would make sense to use him a little bit more just because of his speed. I think he could do a few things that Montgomery doesn't do. But they won, so no need. Receiving, Amon-Ra St. Brown is the real deal. I don't get why teams want to force him into man-on-man coverage. It's not going to work. He's going to beat your guy every time. 6 catches for 71 yards and 1 touchdown. His ability just to get in and out of his routes, his catching ability, it's just like he's one of the top wide receivers. If we're talking top 15, he's there. Top 10, you might can even make an argument if you ask me, depending on who else you're putting up there. But he had a great game. You know, defensively for the Lions, I always love seeing Aiden Hutchinson now in his second season, sophomore season. He's fast. He's just his hands, his ability to get to the quarterback, to put pressure on that line and just break what they got going on. It is just incredible what he's able to do to put pressure on them and just really, you know, collapse the pocket every time. It's very interesting. I also have to say about the Chiefs, I don't know if y'all watched the game, but people are still wondering, was it a false start on Jawan Taylor, the tackle for the Chiefs? Now, one of the analysts was like, you know, your helmet has to be lined up with the center's waistband. I looked at the clip. Jawan Taylor's head is like past his butt. He's like lined up like a receiver. On top of that, he's flinching the entire time. You can't do that. Just a disadvantage for the defensive ends, you know, for them to end up having a fair shot at going up against the tackle. It was a false start the entire game. They never called it until the fourth quarter when it looked like the Chiefs were losing kind of command of it all. It was really weird. I hope they figure that out because if you watch it, it literally was a false start every single time. So, again, congrats to the Detroit Lions, though. It's a well-deserved win to start your season like this. It's going to give them so much confidence of what they're able to do. They could very well go and win their division and make some noise. So, again, I expect the Chiefs to figure some things out. I hope Travis Kelce gets healthy. They go ahead and get Chris Jones back in that locker room ASAP and give him the money he's asking for it. It's well-deserved. So, yeah. First week of NFL football is now underway, but our first Thursday night game, of course, it's always great to see. And it was the Detroit Lions and the Kansas City Chiefs. I'm not going to go through all the games for the NFL next week on our episode, but I will highlight 3 next week. So we'll go Houston, Baltimore, Dallas Giants, and we'll also do Bills, Jets next week. We'll highlight those 3. The others, do I want to put 49ers, Steelers in there? If one of the other 3 games isn't that exciting and it's not a lot to talk about, we'll do 49ers, Steelers. I kind of want to see the rookies more so for Houston. I want to see what C.J. Stroud's going to look like. Zay Flowers for Baltimore. Obviously, the Jets and the Bills is a really good one. And the Cowboys-Giants game, I think, is a really good one, too. So, for right now, those are the 3. Those are 3 that we'll highlight next week, NFL-wise. We'll sprinkle in some college games because I didn't look at the schedule to see kind of the big ones who's going to be playing. So, we'll kind of sprinkle in some of that too. But Those 3 is what we're going to highlight next week in the next episode, because like I'm not going to highlight all those games. It's a lot. I might still do it, since I just said that I wouldn't. But still, we'll see. But as you know for a fact, the first 3 that I said we'll talk about next week. Again, thank you guys for taking the time to come and listen, chat with this episode. I always appreciate you. I appreciate all 50 subscribers that I have right now, because you guys could subscribe to anything, but you choose to subscribe to my channel, and I appreciate it. So thank you. I am blessed and honored that you take the time to listen, because you don't have to. We all have busy lives. We all have things going on. So I appreciate you. Hopefully you appreciate me. Make sure you like, comment, subscribe, share on all platforms to your friends, your family, to come to the channel. Come, watch, listen, debate, leave some stuff in the comments. I don't always read all the comments. I have to do better at that. So please forgive me. I will try to read more this week, and maybe some past weeks that I've missed, but definitely come through. We're talking all things sports, maybe some other things as the season goes on. Everyone's back in school now, so things will pop up, things will come up, and we'll talk about it. So again, I appreciate you guys for tuning in this week, and I will be seeing you next week. Y'all have a blessed week, and wishing you all the best.